Good evening, everyone. Welcome along. It's Saturday night. Premier League football is back, but that's on the back burner now because it is Champions Week, and we are here at Online Darts to have a look ahead at the final, joined by Chris Murphy. Murph, what a week. Champions Week has delivered.
Yeah, absolutely. It's gone down to the wire in every single group. A few players that are unlucky maybe not to have made the finals night, but I think we're left with a very, very strong and kind of balanced field, everyone with a little bit of a different story to tell.
Yeah, completely. Welcome along, everyone. Come and say hi in the chat room. As always, nice and busy. Saldor is in. Mark, Charlie, how you doing, mate? Peter, Mike is in. Good to have you all along. Remember, 10 p.m. is when it all kicks off, and someone will leave here tonight £6,000 richer for amateur darts, Murph. What a carrot and what a prize that is.
I mean, it's a shame it won't be me or you, Phil.
Yeah.
It is massive for what's effectively an amateur tournament. The players that aren't able to play on the professional tour at the moment having the equivalent to finishing second in a pro tour event.
Correct, yeah.
Remarkable amount of money to win for an event like this. Richie Burnett won £5,000 last time around. The person who wins tonight will get an even bigger prize.
Yeah.
Not a bigger check, though. It's quite a big check.
Yeah.
But yeah, bigger prize.
Coming up as well, we have the list for Monday for Phase 4. We return, and the list is teed up. I don't know if have you seen it yet or not. It's a surprise for you.
I've seen a couple of names, but I haven't managed to memorise them all.
Yeah, we've got it all teed up, ready to go. We'll be back Monday as always. But evening, everyone. We're going to go back, obviously, day short. So Tuesday and Wednesday were absolutely brutal, epic, whatever you want to call it, caffeine-fueled, as we had the 15 games that we normally have on the Monday split between the 2 days. So it seems a long, long time ago now, but we're going to go all the way back to Group A, where the Iron Man, Kevin Benes, topped the table and probably, over course and distance, just about edged it.
Yeah, Benes was the best player in that group. He seemed to dominate, but Colin Osborne made a late bid to try and topple him. But Benes just held strong. I think it was Aaron Monkey beat in the last game that he played to get through, and he never really seemed like he was vulnerable at any time, even though it did go down to the wire. And yeah, it worked. 2 long sessions, 3 days play, sort of merged into one, but thanks to the players because they certainly kept my interest, and I'm sure they kept the interest of the viewers as well.
Yeah, this group, like we said, Kevin Benes led from pretty much start to finish, although the Wizard made a late run. But this was all about the race for second, third, and fourth.
Yeah.
That carrot of getting into Group B. Yeah,
because you can see Martin Thomas and Fallon Sherrock in there. 2 of the players that have gone on and made it to finals night. Colin Osborne, I mean, we may talk about him more later, but spare a thought for him. 2 points behind Kevin Benes in this group. Almost managed to qualify through Group B. Averages 104 in his last match against Martin Thomas, which we'll obviously come on to, and somehow has managed to miss out. I think we'll see him back at the Live League, obviously, and I think we'll see him in the next couple of years, maybe making a bid to revive his career.
We'll touch on that now whilst we're here. It's quite remarkable because the way he fell off the tour was almost like the Titanic. It was just like, bloom. But a lot of time, a lot of effort to rebuild his whole game. And now we're seeing that. We're seeing those big ton-plus averages again from him. And I agree with you. I think he will win his tour card back at some point over the next few years.
Yeah, he's been excellent. Every time I've seen him, a couple of weeks ago, the last phase when I saw him play, and this week he's just been brilliant. And so many matches he lost 4-3. I think 2 nights ago, every single match he lost was 4-3. Another 1 or 2 last night. So there are a couple of ways that you can look at that. You can say, well, he's threatening everybody, but is there something in those last leg deciders that perhaps he needs to put right just to change those 4-3 defeats into 4-3 wins? If he does that, then he'll start winning a lot of matches here on the Challenge Tour, at Q School potentially, and then maybe back on the Pro Tour in the next couple of years.
One more story coming out of Group A. We have to talk about it now. It was Fallon Sherrock's remarkable average and comeback to beat Aaron Monk. She trailed 3-0. I think she was a good 10 or 11 points clear on the averages when she was behind. It ended up with 104 average, a stunning 1-2-7 in game. Just what a 7 legs of darts.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. When she was 3-0 down, I think I said in commentary, she was averaging higher than Aaron. at that point. And I was saying she's playing really well here. It would be a real shame for her to lose this match 4-0. And I've said this before, you've said it before, she's got incredible mental strength. She doesn't fold ever, Fallon Sherrock. She can lose matches, she can play badly, but she won't capitulate mentally. And she just carried on playing, she just refocused and came back. That's only happened 16 times at the Online Darts Live League. We're around, 1,800 matches?
Something around that, yeah, it's a lot.
Shows how rare it is just to come back from 3-0 down to win 4-3, but to do it while averaging 104, that's her highest average in this event. Incredible stuff, and I know that the whole thing's available to watch on your YouTube channel.
We clipped it up because it was just a magical moment. And at the start of this, there was a lot of criticism around her. Like the keyboard warriors jumping on, look at her, she can't do it now. And I said to everyone, look, this is just a lack of match practice. Give her time. And now we're seeing that with so many 90-plus averages over the time. It's a joy to watch.
Yeah, timing is brilliant. The amount of times I should have a bad visit and you'll just see her stand back, take a deep breath, straight away 140 or 180 or a nice setup shot or a finish. So that's a big part of any darts player's game. But I agree, there are a lot of players that haven't had practice, and this is giving them match practice, as you said. And Fallon Sherrock, I think she's good. She's got the women's series coming up. She's going to be a big danger there. And then if she manages to get to the Grand Slam, the World Championship, who knows what confidence she can take from the performances she's putting here. If she finds herself in the spot of bother in a set, say at the World Championship, 2-0 down, it's nothing, is it, compared to coming back from 3 in it to win a game here?
No, completely. And that's Group A. Welcome along, everyone. Missy is joining us as always. We'll jump into the chat room more. We're not ignoring you. We're just going to get through the groups as they stand. And then from there, Group C, another one. This went down to the absolute wire. The last game on Friday afternoon settled the top 2 spots. And I was privy enough to obviously to be in and around the practice area. In the game before, James Richardson had the opportunity to seal his spot. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be. Aaron found something when he needed to and beat James. And the cheer in the players' room, not disrespectfully, but the fact that it gave Richie and Chaz the opportunity in that last game was quite funny. It's like when someone scores a last-minute winner or something like that.
Yeah, it was strange anyway, looking at the league table going into that last match. James Richardson was second, but we knew that it wouldn't be him that would be going through because he lost that match to Aaron Monk. Another player who but for a couple of bad legs here and there, would have been in and would have been a danger tonight. But yeah, brilliant stuff. And actually, Aaron putting that performance in as well when his performances have been up and down, it just goes to show kind of the integrity of the event as well, that we've got a player still giving it his all, even though he knew he was out of the event. It made for a straight fight between Richie Burnett and Chaz Barstow. And, Barstow was brilliant. Just he held his nerve. Richie was his usual animated self, and perhaps it all just became a little bit too much for him in that decider. But it's brilliant, isn't it, when you get to a point where everything's resting on one match.
Completely.
Full credit as well to Jim Williams for avoiding that fate himself, because he had some excellent performances. I
was going to say, and I said prior to the Challenge Tour that Jim, we hadn't seen his best stuff, but went to the Challenge Tour and it's just free-rolled for me into here because he played brilliantly in Milton Keynes and he's then produced that over 2 days in Group C to book a place in the final tonight with some very accomplished performances.
Yeah, he's a bit of I don't know how to describe it, a bit of a kind of no-nonsense type player. He can go under the radar, and I think people don't stop and realise how good he actually is
massively
until they look at the results. Like when you watch him play, it never seems spectacular, but it's consistent, it's steady, it's in that sort of, always in the 90s range, never, 110 average, but never the 77 average really either. And yeah, I think Jim Williams' consistency is what got him through. But I think you're right in saying that he's just carried on, kind of riding that wave from the Challenge Tour. Yeah,
and although Jamie Cannon finished bottom, his performances were better than what that points tally suggested.
Yeah, particularly on the second day. He gave himself too much to do, losing most of the matches on the first day.
One BB Aaron on the Thursday.
Yeah, exactly. And I think he gave himself way too much to do. And we said that, when we sat here last week looking ahead to what would be a really long couple of days stint. If somebody has a really good day, then they're going to be through. If someone has a really bad day, they're going to find it tough going. And that's what happened to Kelling, unfortunately. But he showed that he's certainly capable of doing some damage in future, and showed why he got to Champions Week in the first place on the second day.
Well, that's the thing that everyone seems to think, that everyone here this week has earned their right to be here, which is great. Moving on, late into the night again, Group B was settled. What again? Going down to the very last game, Mark Webster. We touched on Jamie giving himself too much to do after day one. This was roles reversed. Mark Webster had pretty much booked his place in the final after the first day by going perfect.
Yeah, it was such a strange night last night, I thought, because it looked like Webster was definitely there. Martin Thomas was the only player that Webster was the only player that he hadn't beat.
Yeah,
to get that right. And then he beats Webster in his first match. So all of a sudden, nothing was settled after the first couple of matches, which we thought Mark just needs to win, and he's through. And then again, after about 5 games, there was a point where if this game goes one way, everything is settled. And in the end, it went to the penultimate match of the evening to see who went through, when we had that match between Thomas and Osborne, and of course Mark Webster in his last match then winning to win the group. So everything meant something, even though at the beginning of the night it looked like, after 4 or 5 matches here, everything's going to be sorted. It turned out really well. The fact that Thomas and Webster were so dominant meant that little interesting battle between Sherrick and Osborne went down to the wire as well. And it was really strange to commentate on a game that meant so much for a player that wasn't in the game.
Completely. And again, like I said before, Fallon couldn't watch. He was pacing up and down the bit. We've got obviously the players' room and the production room. There's a little corridor. She was pacing up and down. She put her head in to see what the score was and everything like that. It was just great to see it. That, to me, shows how much this means to players.
Yeah, of course. I think we'll see that tonight with the pressure of becoming the champion. I think we saw it last time we had this chat. It wasn't a Champions Week event, but we'd had players that have been brilliant all week, and we sat here and said, for example, that the mad qualifier, I think it was Conor Hennigan,
Chris Gilliland,
that's it. And we said, will he be able to reproduce it under the pressure of it? And actually, his averages dropped by about 10 points on the finals night. So I think we'll see that again tonight. That how much it means can affect how people play. Now, for some people, they seem to thrive under pressure, and that crazy match with Colin Osborne and Martin Thomas was unreal because it meant so much. Thomas trying to top the table, Osborne trying to get into 3rd place, to knock Fallon Sherrick out of the event and put himself in finals night. They're both averaging 3 figures, but in the end, Osborne loses out 4-3 again. And
there was one moment that the only opportunity to break through, Colin had 2 darts at tops for 100 finish, and they were both so close. Mm-hmm. It was unreal, and ultimately, that's what this sport's about. Millimetres can make all the difference.
Yeah, exactly. I think I said it at the time. He didn't throw them badly. He didn't bottle it in any way.
No.
They were well thrown darts that happened to miss. And Osborne, you could see in the background, he sort of winced, and he knew that might have been the only chance he would get because both players played excellently in that match.
Yeah.
Fallon had done fantastically to put herself in a strong position by winning her first 2 games, but then she lost to the 2 that beat everybody apart from each other in Thomas and Webster. And it must have been surreal for her to be waiting on the outcome of another result. But, I think we said yesterday, didn't we? I said Osborne, you said Sherrick. Yeah. You turned out to be right, but I think it was
it was like, all right, which way are we going? Yeah, it could have gone either way. But again, a massive shout out to Mark Webster. The way he's played, and to win the group with a 10-dart leg. Everyone seems to not forget, but that World Championship pedigree, you don't lose it, do you? No matter how your form is, or if you had some time away, once that's in your DNA, it's there. Yeah, and again, last time we spoke, we were saying how freely Mark was throwing. It was really good to see him throwing with that freedom. None of that sort of staggered stuff that the dartitis have brought about has been there the whole time we've seen him here the last few weeks. So, I think you're right. I think Mark Webster showed a lot of quality, a lot of mental strength as well. When he lost that first match against Martin Thomas, it was very unlikely that he was going to get caught. But you just did wonder what was going through his head. Like, could this happen? But no, he came back, bounced back, and won every remaining match. And that 10-dart finish to win it must give him an awful lot of confidence going into this evening. Yeah, before we come on to the scene, I'm just going to jump into the chat room. Jason is here from Oz. Welcome along, mate. Trust me, when does it begin? 10 o'clock this evening is the first game. We're giving you a little taste, building up to all the action here. Just give you that little bridger between the shows. But 10 p.m. this evening. Again, we're going to come on to tonight, but let us know in the chat room Who do you think is going to win this evening? Mike, Online Darts Live League has done so much for players. Williams, McDonald, McEwen. Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
And we saw that at the Challenge Tour. The ones that have been here produced brilliance. I know we spoke about it earlier on, but this is a real breeding ground for players. Right, let's scroll down. Richardson lack of form was a big shock to me this week. I wouldn't say it was a lack of form. I'd just say a little bit of luck, because there was a lot of darts on the wires and stuff like that.
It was the damage was done really in Group A for him, wasn't it? He had a really slow start at the start of the week. His 180 hitting was completely missing, and he reset and he was much better in Group C. But then that's where he needed a bit of luck, and he didn't get it. Had he maybe been in that group with 3 players going through from 5, we might have seen him here tonight. Yeah,
Declan says great that the women are getting a chance as well as men. Hold that thought. We've got some more news coming shortly on that. So yeah, it's going to be there. Mike says hi, Chris. Missy says Chris Murphy done an excellent job. A lot of love for Murphy in the chat room again this week, which is always.
I saw the rest of Mike's comment there. I have got an appointment booked for next week, so we'll see. We'll see what happens there.
Moving on to tonight, it's an interesting one. As Kevin Burness walked out of here on Wednesday, he was the happiest man in the world because he said, I need 2 days off after the Challenge Tour. The associate members qualifier straight into those 2 big days. He was so pleased to have those 2 days off. Is that going to have a big effect tonight, do you think?
Possibly for him, because that's exactly what he did when he won through to Champions Week. He won the first group, had those 2 days off, and then came back and got through, winning the finals night. So Kevin Burness, for him, it will feel like this is the way to do it. And just repeating that, I think that just the bit of confidence that will give him will be really important, because it's not always an advantage. Some players need to carry on just keeping their arm loose and stuff, but it's how it makes him feel. And if he left, like you said, saying like this is what I need, then that's just going to give him an extra 5%, I think.
Yeah. Here's the bracket on screen now as well, so everyone can see how everyone got here and made it all up from Group A, Group B, and Group C to make up the Champions night. So Kevin Burness, Mark Webster, Martin Thomas, Fallon Sherrick, Jim Williams, and Chaz Barstow are the 6 assembled warriors as we're doing all things Marvel. That's how it is, and that's how they all got there. From there, we will go the 2 groups, Group 1 and Group 2. Just looking at them on paper, there's nothing between them, is there?
No, and you automatically do that thing, don't you, where you try and call each match and then work out who's going to get through from there and so on.
Yeah.
But it's very, very difficult. That first match in Group 2, coin flip for me. And then Fallon against Mark Webster. A lot depends on what happens to Mark Webster in the first match and what kind of position he's in.
Yeah.
And the same again. This time, Fallon's going to be playing in the final match of the group, so she knows it's going to be in her own hands when she plays that last match. I think Group 2 is the most difficult to call for me.
Yeah.
I think, and this is again where talk about players level maybe dropping for finals night. I think that we won't see the same from Martin Thomas as we've seen the last 2 nights. I think his level might just drop a little bit. I think Kevin Burness, for me, is the man who will get through from that group, and then it's the match between Barstow and Thomas to see who joins them. The other group, don't ask me.
I agree. We were talking about there, and then we've got the complete running order up for this evening here. Yeah, I agree. It's literally a minefield. That's what we want for Champions Week.
Yeah.
We want it tough to call, and you're like, he could beat him, but he could beat. And it's all in and around it.
I will say though, I was on the. I know you're going to ask me for a prediction at some point, and I was on the Weekly Dartscast podcast before the week even started, and was asked for a prediction, and I said a Mark Webster against Fallon Sherrick final, and the outcome is still possible. I said Webster would win that, so I'm going to be sticking with that, just because I will look even more right, having said it at the start of the week.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've been thinking about this all day, because obviously we left here late last night, drive home, and then for us that work here, our brains never stop, do we? We're always on the go. So from about 1 o'clock this afternoon, I've been like, yeah. And I think I've gone through it that many times. Everyone's won it at some point. Yeah. My head says Burness, but I've just got a funny feeling that Fallon might just do this. Just the highs have been high, but the lows have been still high, if that makes kind of sense. There was probably one game was it the last game on Thursday
Yeah.
that she didn't produce, but everything else, even when she's lost, it's been by the merest of whiskers.
Yeah, I think the difficulty for Fallon is getting through the group.
Yeah.
And I think that's the issue is if Mark Webster and Jim Williams turn up, then she's going to find it really, really tough going. So it's probably easier to edge with Burness because we think he'll get through that group where we're not sure at all who will get through the other group. But I think you're right. Fallon has shown that she's got the ability to beat anybody.
Yeah, and like you say, Jim Williams is probably the outsider that I'd say because he's very much got under the radar. Everyone's looked at Burness, obviously Mark with his pedigree, Fallon, but quietly I've been really impressed with Jim, just like you say, going in and around it. So he'd probably be my outsider that you have a look at. I think he can come up on the rail and do it.
Yeah, definitely. By the way, you were saying that Kevin was left here the happiest person. He just poked his head round the corner there, and he's still the happiest person alive. So, he's in a confident mood. But I agree, Jim, we probably, I'm guessing I've made my prediction, probably won't predict him to win the title. But we've just said he goes under the radar so much.
Yeah, massively. Like you say, I've played it out and everyone's won this at some point. So let's jump into the chat room and see who they are going for tonight. As a Barstow is the highest ceiling. 59s could hurt him. Yeah, no, yes. Yeah, we've seen on the Pro Tour some monster averages as well from him. But
yeah, not so much here though.
No.
Interestingly, in terms of the high ceiling here, we've seen high stuff from Fallon Sherritt, we've seen big stuff from Kevin Burness, we've seen big stuff from Mark Webster. Barstow's been a little bit more consistent in his performances here.
Yeah. Matt says Webster is pure class. Yeah, look, everyone loves Webby. And he's one of the funniest guys you'll ever meet as well. His sense of humour is brilliant around the place.
It is, and I'll tell you what, when we sat here for the preview show a couple of weeks ago, Mark Webster had lost his first couple of games on each of the previous nights. He's put that right this time around. So you were saying he can't afford to do it in the final.
Yeah. This
time around, he's put that right. So he stands, even though he got through then, he stands with an even better chance.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Tonight.
Yeah. Like we said, it was weird that we called it that he'd lost 2 and then won 2. But yeah he's been thinking. And I just think that playing that first time did him the world of good as well here because he came back knowing what it was all about.
Yeah. And I wonder, what do you think about kind of recency of being in the event? So Webster had a week here, then a week's break, and then came straight back in.
Yeah.
Whereas there are other players who won through much earlier, and maybe there's a bit of an advantage there.
Yeah. Missy said Sherrick all the way. What else have we got? Might support Webster, but Burness is the favourite in my opinion.
I think we're kind of agreeing, aren't we? But Burness is probably the favourite, but we're leaning towards potentially Sherrick or Webster nicking it.
Yeah. Mike, hold that thought. We will come on to that very, very shortly. Williams Chaz final. It's all possible.
Yeah, could be any outcome.
Yeah, we're not. A lot of love for Martin Thomas as well.
If he plays like he did last night, he's got a very good chance. I'm sticking my neck on the line and thinking he won't.
Yeah, like we said with Chris Gillan, it's that extra pressure of being Champions Night and Finals Night all in one. It could be a little bit too much where some of these players have done it on the bigger stage.
Particularly when it's a guy who's only recently reached his first challenge to a final.
Yeah.
And you've got other players in who've won Challenge Tour events, won on the World Championship stage. In Matt Webster's case, even won the World Championship.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be interesting. Right, what else have we got teed up here? So we'll do this one now. Everyone's asking, are we going again after Phase 3? Are we going to have any new players? I can now reveal that Phase 4 will start like this. Group A: Robert Owen, Robert Thornton, Richard North, Matty Dennett, James Richardson, and Sean Fisher returns. Again, a man that's come into the Pro Tour and played some good stuff.
Yeah.
As well. Group C: Nick Fulwell, debut for him. Stephen Burton returns. Anastasia Dombromyslova makes her debut in the Live League. And Group B: Jamie Kelling, Rob Collins, and Dieter Hedman returns as well. And also, over the next few weeks, yes, there are more and more names coming into it. Mark, our stats guy, who goes through all the list of players that he's got to sift through, is becoming more and more as well. So, yes, plenty of new names. But the standout one on there is, from Russia with Love, Anastasia Dombromyslova.
Yeah, excellent that she's been given the opportunity to compete in this. I think her appearance will attract a few more viewers. The interest that we get when Fallon Sherrick plays in the event is it's up another level. And I think with both Dieter and Anastasia, then we'll see that again. It's another opportunity, isn't it, for female players to show that they can mix it with the men. And look, we've had 12 men compete this week and 1 woman, and that woman is here at finals night, and 6 of the men aren't.
Yeah, completely. So yeah, phase 4, we go again for another 5-week cycle, but there's plenty in the pipeline to say. And I know Mark, I said we've touched on it. Mark, who does the stats for you in particular, unreal, and the list of names that he's working on is really, really good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just the list that you just showed, we've got Robert Thornton, who's a multiple major champion. Other players that have been in recently, James Richardson, Robert Owen, produced some fantastic stuff in this event. Dieter and Anastasia have won loads of titles between them as well. So really good stuff. Chris Mason will be back in the commentary box as well next week. So, that's another big name, much bigger name than mine.
Mace returns, but although you are coming back in a few weeks' time as well.
Yeah, can't quite remember off the top of my head exactly what the roster is, but I'll be here at some point.
Yeah, with the amount of darts on the calendar at the moment, it's literally unreal. We've obviously got the PDC have almost released pretty much their whole calendar for the year, which is great. Us here, Mad releasing stuff all the time, the WDF releasing stuff all the time. Darts is in a really good place post-pandemic, when most sports are still trying to get back on their feet, but darts has literally showcased and just gone up. Yeah,
absolutely. And what you've been saying about the Challenge Tour in the last weekend may kind of carry on when you see, Fallon this week, Anastasia and Dieter next week, then the women's series starts to get underway. And can they take the same kind of confidence and form into that as the likes of the players that have played in the Challenge Tour who have been here before? Because what did you say, was it 5 out of 6 of the winners?
5 out of 6 winners. I think 3 runners up, or something stupid like that. And I think the one that made was 16 quarter finalists in the Challenge Tour was the one that really stood out, that they all got to the latter stages.
Yeah, remarkable. And it just goes to show what match practice can do. It's got a completely different thing than just standing at home in your bedroom chucking at the board, isn't it?
Yeah, completely. Let's jump back in. There was a few good ones. Craig is in. Good evening, mate. Hope you are well. Chat room went nuts when we delivered all the names. I hope Sherrick does it. Yeah, we've done that one. Praying for a Beness Barstow final. Again, more than capable.
There's part of me as a commentator that's just glad it's not Beness against Burnett.
Yeah.
I've been a bit of a tongue twister at times.
Yeah, completely. Mike says, Nick Fulwell, good to see that. Yeah, again, a very accomplished player. And I know a lot of people ask, why aren't these in yet? Or why haven't these come back? Remember, a lot of these players work. So it's trying to get enough notice to them to get time off work if they need it and everything like that. But everyone is coming back. I know Sean McDonald was very, very popular. And again, he's got work commitments, but he will be back at some point. We're not forgetting about players or anything like that. It's just trying to fit them all into a schedule.
Yeah, and of course they've got travel restrictions for players and things like that as well. So it's difficult to get the logistics sorted. But so far so good. 12 good players every week.
Yeah, Richard's going to play 2 weeks straight. What a man! To be fair, he was offered another week because it was close to Champions Week. He was like, no, I'm good. I can play. I think his wife's coming down for a few days with him where he didn't get here, so that will do him the world of good as well. And to bring him some new shirts, he said as well.
Just playing the game, and more power to him.
Yeah, Craig always on the show. All good, mate. All good. What's Jim got to say? Really looking forward to tonight's action. Going for Webby, but wouldn't be shocked regardless if he wins. That's commented on our day so far. 100%. We wouldn't be shocked if any one of the 6 came along.
There are no surprises tonight.
No, like Eddie says at fight camp, there's no easy fights. Like here, we wouldn't be surprised if anyone won. Of course, Matt's very happy. His beloved Owls won today as well.
Brilliant, yeah. Barry Bannon, better than Zidane.
Yeah. I'm not even going to try and pronounce your name because I don't want to do the disrespect of it. But guys, I'm Russian. So happy to keep Anastasia. Keep out the invites for new players. We'll have to see it. Yeah. And again, everyone forgets she's a multiple world champion.
Yeah.
Those battles that she had with Trina back in the day when Trina was at her prime was a joy to watch.
Yeah, and one of the first flag bearers for women playing against men in professional darts as well. Anastasia, there's a massive hype when she played against men in some of the PDC competitions. So yeah, she's a huge name in the sport. Yeah,
I hope Anastasia belts everyone out of the park. Yeah, we know she's got the game. She'd be instantly famous at the Grand Slam.
Yeah, she did. And again, talking about the women's series around the corner, she might have been the one that was a little bit disappointed with her performances there last year that she wasn't in the mix.
Yeah.
So playing in it in the run up to it could really help her.
Whilst we're talking about the women, and the PDC have done a great job this time, 3 weekends for the ladies to show what they can do and showcase the sport. A great thing for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, because there is more events, we will see. We did in fewer events actually, but we will see the cream rise to the top. The best players will get through with all those events. But I think it's fantastic, particularly when the turnout last year, I think, could have been better. But they've carried on. We'll keep giving you the opportunities. Come and take it.
Yeah, and it'll be, like you say, we'll be interested to see. On that one weekend, Dita played absolutely sensational to deny Fallon Sherrock a return to Alexandra Palace. But the form we've seen Sherrock in over 3 weekends, that's going to be tough to deny her, isn't it?
Yeah, if she has a bad weekend, she'll know that she can come back and put it right in one of the next couple of weekends or both. So, I think it's very likely that Fallon Sherrock will make it into either the Grand Slam or the World Championship, if not both.
Which one do you think she'd like to play? And if she could only pick one?
I think any player would play in the would say the World Championship. I think it's just so much bigger, particularly for Fallon Sherrock, the Queen of the Palace, she's still returning there. But I think it'd be, I think she'd want to tick the Grand Slam off the bucket list at some point as well. So why stick to one, Fallon? Go for both.
Yeah. Whilst we're just chatting about general darts as well, the Challenge Tour, the Standard, very, very good.
Yeah.
That went on for the weekend in Milton Keynes, soured a little bit, obviously, by the debacle that went on by a player at the end. Does that put a little bit of a sour note in everyone's mouth, do you think?
I think so, just because people have missed out on things through no fault of their own. It's as in life, really, isn't it? You always get one or two people, a group of people that might spoil something for everybody else. And the professional dart players and the, second tier of darts, if you like, on the Challenge Tour and the Development Tour, 99.9% of them have been very patient, been very good, followed all of the sort of protocols that have been put in place. I've been working on the Pro Tour events, and there have been a lot of different things, and then they've been relaxed, slowly and slowly as things have gone on in line with the government and everything. So for one person to do something stupid and make a silly mistake and then cost people place at a European Tour qualifier, potentially a place at a European Tour event. Conan Whitehead, of course, who was due to be here on Champions Week, bit of a disappointment, disappointing for him. I think it does rightly leave a bit of a sour taste. It's one of those things, isn't it, that kind of happens in life when you have so many people. Someone's going to put a foot wrong somewhere. Yeah,
obviously the second tour is back up and running, and the development tour coming back shortly as well. Very important for the development of those youngsters coming through, because again, they've had a long time without any action.
Yeah, and particularly now that they're looking to the Pro Tour and seeing the fruits of the Development Tour month after month, year after year, with Dimitri Van den Berg winning the World Match Play, getting to the final recently as well. Luke Humphreys in excellent form, getting to the UK Open final. Players that have won, loads of these Development Tour events that are really stepping up now as proper seasoned professional darts players, and are in the mix at all the majors, every tournament really. So the inspiration they can take, they just need darts to play, and we'll see the next Dimitri and the next Luke, and looking forward to it.
One question that's often asked about the Development Tour and the World Youth Championship, I'm interested to see your take on this. We only get to see the final on TV. Would you like to see that maybe expanded, and maybe in the afternoon or whatever, we see the two semi-finals played as well, just to give the youngsters a little bit more exposure, so it's not just one big game and all the pressure on one game?
Yeah, possibly. I think that it's a nice prize, isn't it? Yeah. So for them, it's a nice prize to be able to play a big major tournament. I know it's the Players' Championship finals at the moment. It's been the World Championship and the Premier League in the past. So I think that, do you give that prize to 4 players rather than 2? I don't see why not. Is there potential to stream the World Youth Championship up until those semi-final or final stages?
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's something that the PDC will look at, and if there is an opportunity to do it, then I'm sure they would.
Looking ahead, the calendar is becoming rather packed. Players homing their skills. I know it's only August, but we're already talking about the Palace. We can see the top of it just glinting on the horizon. Are players now thinking about that already? Because we've heard them speak. It was Peter very much so as well, and that race for world number 1. Obviously, that Peter could be world number 1 by the time he gets to Alexandra Palace. But then if he doesn't defend it, he may only be for 3 weeks. There's lots of stories brewing and developing in the professional game.
Yeah, I think Peter and Gerwyn Price probably want the World Championship to come now. They probably both feel like they're somewhere near the top of the game right now, and they don't want to allow Michael van Gerwen the time to just build up some momentum going towards it. He knows, exactly how to try and prepare for a World Championship, how far out to prepare, as Phil Taylor always used to do. But there are big tournaments before that as well, and they're going to be equally important in that race for world number one, in the quest for Van Gerwen to discover some form. It's a really exciting time for darts when you sort of get to the end of August, start of September, and you know that you're going to have big televised tournaments right up until the World Championship.
Yeah, touching on Michael, obviously we both know him very, very well, and you known him for many years. I said the other day, this reminds me very much of 2012, where the performances are good, some exceptional, but he's losing good games. Do you feel like when he went on and won the World Grand Prix, that spiraled and snowboarding? Do you think it's the same at the moment, that it's almost like a car where it's trying to start, and once it goes, and once he wins one of these with the performances we're seeing, he will go on again?
Possibly. I think the difference is this time that you've probably got more players that can still beat him when he's playing it even near his best than he had, say, from 2013 to 2016, 17. Only really Phil Taylor would be a big problem for Michael van Gerwen in that time, and towards the end Phil was on the wane as well. So I think that it's not really that much about Michael. I think, I'm sure you would agree that we will see him come back. We will see him win titles again.
I've got no doubt about that whatsoever.
But I do think that it's, now players know, once they know they can beat him, they can't unknow that. I think there was a time when Gerwyn Price didn't feel like he could beat him. I think there was certainly a time when Peter Wright didn't feel like he could beat him. But I'd love to see Michael win a title reasonably soon, and then we head into the World Championship with all three of those players firing. And it's very rare in any sport, isn't it, to have more than one dominant force. So you think about tennis with like Federer.
I was about to say tennis with times was probably the equivalent, where the golden times, like you say, we had Murray, Djokovic, Nadal, and Federer.
Yeah,
that was down on to be the semi-final lineup almost.
But in individual sports, and particularly in darts, we've had dominant players for long periods of time. We're lucky when we get a little rivalry between two. So if we can have a rivalry between three players, and maybe even somebody like De Sousa or Vandenberg or whoever it might be, Anderson gets his form back and steps up to make it even more than that, then it's going to be a hugely exciting time to watch darts.
Speaking of Gary Anderson, with your darts head on here, a lot of talk around the World Cup. Do you think we will see Gary Anderson in the World Cup, or do you think it will be a depleted Scotland team? And I mean that with the greatest respect, because trying to replace Gary Anderson is almost impossible.
Yeah, I don't think it's any disrespect at all. If you lose one of the top two ranked players in your team, then it's depleted, isn't it? But I don't know is the answer. I think it will depend on Gary and his family's decision about travelling during the virus and stuff like that. He stayed away from travelling before the virus.
I was going to say, it was hard enough to get him before.
Yeah. So, love to see him from a fan's point of view, but totally respect anyone at the moment who doesn't want to commit to travelling overseas, and because it is really difficult still to do everything that you want to do.
There's a second part to this question. If one doesn't go, does the other one not go as well? Because they're very much a tag team, aren't they? But last year, it was almost a team decision. They both went, we're not going without the other one.
Yeah.
Would you expect the same, or do you think that Peter may go if Gary doesn't? Yeah,
it's interesting because you can probably see a tournament this year where a sort of lopsided team could win the event.
Yeah.
If we would expect, say, Gerwyn Price and Johnny Clayton goes Team Wales, and they're going to be very difficult to beat. But outside of that, if it's not Gary and Peter, then you are going to have some kind of lopsided teams where you've got one player that's reasonably high ranked and another player that's quite low ranked. And it might be that almost passengers sometimes involved in those events. And you could end up with the World Cup being between Peter Wright and Michael van Gerwen, no disrespect to their partners. So, I think that's a decision for him. He won't want to go not thinking he's got a chance of winning it. But maybe there might be a little bit of motivation. Could I go and win this almost by myself?
Yes.
As perhaps, Dutch fans don't listen, but as perhaps Michael van Gerwen has done in years gone by.
Well, in fact, Michael van Gerwen's openly said, I've won this on my own. Look, it's not being horrible. The words come out of his mouth where he says, I'll run this on my own. The other one, Team Australia. I'm looking forward to seeing this in the World Cup because Simon Whitlock, we always know what we're going to get. But Damon Heta is improving time after time after time.
Yeah. And that's another thing, isn't it? If we are going to have a lot of these teams where you've got a high-ranked player and a low-ranked player, what about two middle-ranked players going together, but two players that are capable of winning titles and have won titles and shown what it takes to win titles both on the floor and on the stage and on TV? And I think Simon Whitlock in particular, he's not going to be around for that much longer in terms of the top-level professional darts, and it would be fantastic to see him win the World Cup for Australia before he retires, because he's an icon of darts over there. And it is a tournament where he, with different partners, has knocked on the door a few times.
Yeah. Also, with your work at the Pro Tour, we saw the last Super Series. It was like Christmas had come early. I'd never seen so many pros rocking up with new equipment. We had new darts, new shirts all over the place. It was like, what's going on? But the darts in particular, that I don't think I've ever seen so many players using new equipment at the same time. It was almost as if they've had time off. They've tinkered away and gone, right, let's have a go.
Yeah, but I also wonder how much of that has got to do with your earlier question about preparing for the World Championship, where there's been 4 months or less than 4 months out now to the World Championship. And Peter Wright changed something slightly in his darts, unbelievably.
The slight ball nose on it.
Gerwyn Price using different darts as well, very similar darts, but a new set all the same. And you just wonder if a few players have gone, you know what, we've seen Peter tweak and found some kind of near perfection. Maybe I can do that. Maybe I can get that little extra edge that would elevate me from and also ran to a contender.
Well, Simon was the one that made me laugh because he's very, very stubborn, as we all know. When he changed darts, I think everyone in the darting world, apart from him, thought he was better with the old ones. Yeah. But he persevered with the very odd dart with the scallop and the very aggressive ball nose. But the ones he used at the Super Series were like a hybrid of both. The scallop was still there, but it was a less aggressive, it was more rounded, like his old darts. We sort of like merged the two together.
Yeah, he's a bit of a kind of mad professor, Simon Whitlock, when it comes to his darts. He does spend a lot of time trying different things, chipping away at sort of minor changes. That's why I was surprised to see him make such a drastic change in one sort of move. But again, if he thinks he's found the perfect dart, then, you know, he could have a go at the World Cup. And he did well on the TV events that he got into last year, beat Michael van Gerwen 3 times on TV. So, you know, what he was doing with the old darts weren't that bad, but he's slipping down the rankings, and maybe he's just decided, you know, a change might be the thing that's a catalyst to move back up again. Yeah,
looking ahead for yourself, what bits are you looking forward to in particular between now and the Worlds? Obviously, the Worlds is a separate thing, but between now and then, what's ticking your boxes?
Yeah, obviously the big thing about the World Match Play was seeing the fans back, and I think seeing the fans back at other venues will be very, very, you know, exciting. I think bringing the World Grand Prix to a different venue, so people who haven't been to a darts event there before can go. That's been held in Leicester. I think the Grand Slam, we spoke about that, having a couple of female players, and that's going to take some kind of different format this year because, you know, we saw the demise of the BDO and everything. And the World Cup itself, I think, is going to be very interesting. That's just around the corner. I think that's going to be very interesting because looking at it, we could see some really sort of weird and wonderful teams that would be almost, I mean, I'm sure you've played in the tournament where it's like a blind pairs draw.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
It's going to look a little bit like that in some teams.
Of course, you've been back to the Barnsley Metrodome. There's one more to tick off, though, isn't there? Return to Wigan.
yeah. It won't be this year. I think everything's in Barnsley, isn't it, for the rest of this year, apart from one of the women's series events. I'm happy in Barnsley because I'm half an hour.
I was going to say it's nice for you.
But yeah, Wigan is one of the homes of Pro Tour darts, and I'm sure we'll be back there or somewhere as good, if not.
The tour card race is interesting as well. I was having a look at this the other day. There's a lot of what you call established pros fighting or on the verge of losing their tour card.
Yeah.
So it almost feels like a real, not changing of, not the guard at the top, but at the lower end where these established pros are moving out and the new wave is coming in.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've seen players that, what I find strange at the moment is you see players that seem to perform well that are threatened with losing a tour card now. So you look at the likes of Justin Pipe, who seems to have had a bit of a resurgence of form, yet is still vulnerable. John Henderson, who's produced some fantastic stuff over the last few years, is looking vulnerable as well. So
Darren Webster, world quarter finalist and top 16 in 2 years, is now on the verge of losing it.
With it being a 2-year ranking, you almost, because there are so many good players now, you have to be at the top of your game all the time. because you're not just in the risk of like falling out of the top 32, you're at risk of losing your card. It's quite remarkable how good the standard is now. Sort of the standard below that elite of the professional players, they can all beat each other, and if you're not at your game for a 6-month period, then you're in danger.
Yeah, and of course, I suppose it will be Premier League picks time soon. We're not going to talk about that now, but it's this time of year where the players that are on the verge of the Premier League start thinking about it, isn't it? And I remember Joe Cullen said before that I got caught up in thinking, what do I need to do to get into the Premier League? But players do start thinking about that now. What do I need to do? Do I need a final? Do I need to win one? It's a very interesting mindset for players this time of year.
Yeah, although I think it might have changed a little bit because we've seen the title shared out so much. Actually, the answer seems to be you need to win one. Yeah. So therefore, the focus is back on what it should be, which is winning the event that you're in, rather than thinking how far do I need to go to get in the Premier League, which is a trap that a lot of players have fallen into in the past.
Yeah, do you like that? The fact it has changed, obviously not on purpose, but the way it is when Michael was dominating, winning everything, like you say, people were thinking, if I get to a semi-final here, I might nick that 8th or 9th spot. But like you've just correctly said, I need to win.
Yeah. Exactly. You shouldn't be thinking like that, but it's also difficult not to, isn't it? If that's something that's a motivation for you, all of the sort of attention, sponsorship, and all that stuff that can come with 16 weeks on primetime TV. I think it's difficult not to think of that, but a side effect of winning rather than sort of a tough.
I'm not going to talk about the players for the Premier League, but just one thing that I think is important for the Premier League, returning to those cities of going on the road again, because this year we had 5 nights at the end, even though it was all in the same venue. We only had, I think, was it 5 or 6 nights in 2020 before it was pulled. Is it important for the product of the Premier League to get back on the road doing what it does?
Absolutely. That is the Premier League, isn't it? It's huge arenas, and it's about taking the best players in the world around the country, and indeed around Europe now as well, with Rotterdam and Germany, and obviously we've been going to Dublin for a long time anyway. It's about a 16-week roadshow showcasing professional darts at its best, the players at the best, the fans at their best, and then it's really massively important. Still, people like that aren't into darts that know what I do, and I tell them, there was 10,000 there at Leeds Arena last night. They cannot believe it. The jaw drops to the floor. So I'll tell you what, come next year, go next year, and everyone has the time of their life at the Premier League.
Well, that's what I say to people with Blackpool. Everyone knows I pipe on about the Winter Gardens. Everyone, why do you go on that? I said, just go once, and you don't really need to know anything else. But like I said, for the casual fan, that's what the Premier League is all about.
It's that one night out. If you live in one of those big cities where the Premier League goes to, it's that night out every year that you're going to do that sort of naughty Thursday night where you
go out on a school night,
feeling sick on Friday. But it is, and it's real good fun, and all the players know what it's all about. But it's huge for the rest of the game as it brings in so much income, it brings in so much exposure as well. So I think it's a really significant step to get back to normal in the Premier League.
Right, we're going to jump back into the chat room for 5 minutes or so because time has literally flown by this evening. Obviously, Chris has got to go and do his prep and everything like that, so we can't let him neglect that. Otherwise, comms will be not as good as the highest stand. We've done that one. Right, let's go right back down here. The Dutch crew are in talking. Craig says, listen to you guys and watching the boxing. Always a good shout. This is a very topical one. Can't wait for the Euro Tour.
Yeah. Another one we've not mentioned yet. There's so much darts coming up. It's really, but that's significant as well. I think we touched on it in our last broadcast on this. But excited for that too.
Yeah, Budapest first one.
Budapest first. Yeah. Supposed to be there, and Gibraltar the one after that.
Yeah, it should be good. I'm guessing that although the PD's not confirmed that we're all resigned to the fact there's only going to be 2, aren't we?
I think so.
They would have released the third one by now if there was going to be,
unless something dramatically changes with restrictions and things like that and makes something really easy to put on.
Good point when we were talking about this. Bristow, Low, Wilson done a dominant triangle.
Yeah, I suppose. But then again, you look at the times that they won the World Championship, they were quite spread out with other people winning in between.
Yeah. Any good outsiders for the World Cup of darts? It depends what you class as an outsider, because in terms of rankings, Australia would probably be an outsider, with Whitlock outside the top 16 and Damon Heta in and around the 64 mark. I'm not quite sure where he is, but he's obviously not top 32. So in terms of rankings, Australia would be an outsider.
That's one. I think, to throw another name in there, I would say USA.
Yeah.
Yeah, Danny Baggish and Danny Lowby, if that is the team.
That, as it stands at the moment,
yeah.
Darren Young did have the position, but had something on that he couldn't get out of, so had to relinquish it.
So I think, yeah, as an outside pick, because certainly, again, you spoke about sort of disjointed teams. Togetherness could come into the equation as well. You know, what we used to see from Whitlock and Nicholson and that kind of thing. So,
I'm not sure who it is, but if Team Canada is Jeff Smith and Matt Campbell, that excites me. I'm not going to lie. I think that is a very good pair.
Well, I just want to bring back John Norman Jr. Iconic World Cup of Darts player.
Yeah. So, can you give me a money breakdown for tonight? It's 12,000 price.
Yeah. So
broken down from that. I don't have it to hand. I can try and knock something up and put something on Twitter once we're done.
I'll mention it at the start of commentary.
We'll get it confirmed for you, mate. But it's definitely it's 12k prize pool for tonight with 6 for the winner. So yeah, last few we've done that one. So we've done that one as well. I think, Murph, we are just about done. Everyone, you have absolutely smashed it this evening for us here at the Online Darts Preview Show. Remember, 10 p.m. this evening, Sporty Stuff TV and live on our YouTube channel. Chris Murphy will be calling in all the action, and there will be a new champion crowned in the early hours of the morning. Murph, one last time, who's it going to be?
I am going to go for, in the end, that final between Sherrick and Mark Webster, with Webster just winning it.
There we have it. There we have it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to go. I'm torn. I'm going with you. I've changed my mind. I'm going Webster to win. There we have it. So Webster won't win, but no, I'm going to go Webster as well. But Fallon is the danger if she can get through the group for me. Everyone, thank you very much as always. We have been Online Darts, and we'll be back 10 p.m. this evening covering all the action for you here on the Online Darts Live League.